Pen Made Mightier without wood.
Welcome to Pen Made Mightier in space! Today we're going to talk about Moon. If you haven't seen Moon, you should definitely see Moon. It's a fantastically underrated film, although beloved by its audience. The movie came out in 2009 as a wonderful piece of dramatic sci-fi from the mind of Duncan Jones, its writer and director, and I honestly haven't seen a sci-fi movie that had me this enthralled in a long time. It's not spectacularly life-changing, it's not going to be Avatar and make you lose control of your feels and paint yourself blue so you can hang out with Blue Cat Pocahontas, but I will say it's a fantastically written piece of sci-fi that shows how much you can do under pressure. Plus, it stars Sam Rockwell and Kevin Spacey as a robot. And Kevin Spacey's robot is, my god, it's one of the best robots ever. I love robots. I love Kevin Spacey. I love Kevin Spacey robot. I wish he lived with me here. But one of the coolest things about Moon's writing is the fact that it really pushes insanity into the science fiction setting in a believable and thoughtful way. And it does this by showing the character that Sam Rockwell plays slowly going crazy over the entire film. Spoilers, if you haven't seen Moon, I'm going to ruin a lot of the movie ahead. So, if you want to see it, I've said enough to convince you, you might go ahead and just pause this video and come back after you've watched it. You'll thank me. But one of the greatest pieces about Moon is its writing and its depiction of insanity as sort of a running theme throughout the entire movie. It sows these seeds really early on by showing the character isolated from everyone that he's ever known and loved. He's not only isolated physically, but also isolated mentally, as the only companion he's got is a robot that helps him care for things on the ship and helps him perform his day-to-day duties. Other than that, he's completely alone, and for seemingly no reason, especially to hear him talk about the technology in the film. Of course, beyond that, it's pretty easy to see that he's breaking up a little bit, although be it a random one-off hallucination or something more serious is up to the interpretation at the beginning of the film, when he starts having hallucinations and visions and odd things, strange things afoot at the Circle K.
Fuck! God damn it! Fuck!
As if to drive this point home, they even show that he has some imperfect memories in the form of these video logs that he watches over and over. There's lots of little subtle jump cuts in the videos that just make them feel wrong, like there's purposefully information missing in something that he treasures. And that it put me on edge, just to see little moments cut out of his most treasured memories. Blech, blech. I didn't like it. Well, I mean, I loved it, but I didn't like it.
Clever girl. Wave. Give Daddy a wave. Kathy, could you? I can't believe you're going to be home soon. It's her birthday next month. And I was thinking about maybe a playhouse for the garden.
Gertie?
We could pick it out together. Sam, I love you.
As if that's not enough, he's also very paranoid. The character is constantly questioning authority, he is always trying to look a bit deeper, he always seems unnerved about everything, and his entire living quarters is coated in these padded white walls. Of course, it's because it's a space outpost of the near future, but it doesn't hurt that it is reminiscent of sort of an asylum. And when the robot starts questioning your sanity, yeah, you know that you're starting to dip. This robot, he's got a lot of lapses in judgment, but the one thing he's clued in on completely is the mental state of the subject that it's monitoring.
It's got smarts in it, Gertie.
Sam, can I ask how it happened?
I told you I saw something on TV and I spilled boiling water on my hand.
You saw something on TV?
Yeah, I saw something on TV that distracted me. Is there something wrong with that, Gertie?
Sam, you said it was the TV that distracted you, but when I came in, the TV wasn't on. Perhaps you were imagining things.
Yeah, you think too much, pal. You need to get laid. I'm gonna go back to work.
And then, of course, the early driving action in the movie. His accident that happens while he's out in the rover is caused by him having a vision that sets him off completely. And thus the movie finds its footing, all because he is starting to lose it. So after he wakes up in the medical bay, he starts to question everything around him. He starts to question his companion, he starts to question the company he works for, and those two, the robot and the faceless organization, start having conversations behind his back, implying that they know more than he does, and that they're keeping things from him, which will put anybody on a paranoid conspiracy theory binge if I've ever seen one. It's also reinforced a bit by the hobby that he takes up in the miniature city that he's constructing. It's something that takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, and it's something that is a monotonous task, something that is very classically associated with going nuts in this replication of something on a small scale, as if you are removed from it in entirety. It's one of those greater feel of the cosmos vibes, and it really starts to sell the fact that he might be losing it. And at the very least, it sets a huge pace of time, because to construct a city that large out of whittled wood would take ages. And of course, this leads perfectly into the realization that there has been more than one version of him. The clones start showing up, and before you know it, we got two of the main character, and hundreds more stuffed underground, and who knows how long this has been going on. Who knows how many versions of him went nuts, how many versions of him worked on this project. This is something that has gone on for way too long, and it's showing that insanity can actually be a form of implanted memory. And in a way, it plays with our own mentality, because we don't even question the fact that this robot somehow recovered him from a downed rover out in the middle of the moon, despite the fact that it shows absolutely no ability to leave the station whatsoever. Definitely starts to pile the crazy in our corner, which I like.
Great. Am I really a clone?
When you first arrived at Serang, there was a small crash. You woke up in the infirmary. You suffered minor brain damage and memory loss. I kept you under observation and ran some tests.
I remember that.
Sam, there was no crash. You were being awakened. It is standard procedure for all new clones to be given tests to establish mental stability and general physical health. Genetic abnormalities and minor duplication errors in the DNA can have considerable impact on...
What about Tess? What about Eve?
They are memory implants, Sam. Uploaded, edited memories of the original Sam Bell.
So, in addition to showing the length of time that could pass, which isolation for long periods of time drives people crazy, it sets up the conspiracy, this whole cycle that he's going through. It sets up a massive undertone of unsettling behavior that would make anybody think for a second that not all is right with the world. And it does that beautifully. In a short amount of time, too. The cast is really small. I mean, there's only two major players in the whole film. Well, three, I guess, if you know, both clones and the robot. Their sets are relatively minimalistic. I mean, there's just the base, really. Of course, they do some CG out on the moon, probably some miniatures or something there. But for the most part, it's all contained in one central hub, meaning that they really squoze as much of the story as they could from one location. Which, I mean, again, helps to drive the insanity message home, because you can never escape. It also shows the strength of art under limitations. This movie, Moon, being one of my favorite sci-fi entries in the past decade, was made with a pretty small budget in a very small location with a very small cast, but at the same time it pulls off more heartstring pulling and emotional thought than most every big-name AAA sci-fi movie I've seen in my entire life. So, if you like sci-fi, if you like thinking about things deeply, or if you just want to see Kevin Spacey robot feeling sympathetic and being adorable as hell, you should watch Moon, because it's great. And, yeah, go watch Moon. And thanks for sticking with me on Pen Made Mightier. Talk about Moon in the comments. I can't wait to talk about Moon with you. Alright, bye now!